All right. Welcome to another episode of Navigating Consciousness. Thank you all for being here today. I wanted to take a minute just to reintroduce myself because we might have some new people showing up today. There is the first episode of this series that we did last month, and there is a lot of data that I get into in that one. So you can all be, feel free to check that episode out. But I just wanted to, for anyone who this is their first time, just to kind of give you a bit of a sense of what you've just walked into, and what it is that I do, and why I'm here. So I refer to myself as a consciousness engineer and a psychic athlete. And that is my way of really creating a unique bubble around the services that I offer, because it is energy healing, but it's very much it's something that I've come to over many years. I've been in the healing game in one way, shape, or form since the early 2000s, I guess. I did some Reiki training. I got into nutrition, supplementation, a lot of real physical, material type supportive stuff. And then after a car accident in 2008 or 2007 rather, I got introduced to a system called Body Talk, which was like a consciousness-based healthcare modality, and I became a Body Talk practitioner over the course of my healing within that system, and really just learned how to navigate the non-physical aspects of the human form. So, we are very aware of what we are aware of in terms of our body, in terms of the world and how we move through it, feeling hunger, feeling pain, feeling horny, right? These are all things we're very aware of. I'm aware that I'm touching my fingers together, but that's sort of an illusion, because if you go down to the level of the molecules, they're actually repelling each other. So the particles that make up my skin are actually not touching. So it's just my perception of touch. And everything, from my perspective, everything is perception, and the only thing that I feel is very important to focus on and to work on when I'm working with my clients is that it is perception. It's perception of ourselves as men and women, which is informed directly through the relationship our parents had, and the conditioning that we received, the culture we were born in. The analogy that I use all the time is, if you're born in a rainforest environment, your brain and nervous system will wire to focus on up-close vision rather than distance, because it's not important for you to see that far if you're in a rainforest. You're living under dense canopy. Being able to discern 12 different shades of green is very important when you're living in a rainforest. Being able to spot your prey, that's camouflaged into a tree, is vital in terms of survival. And then it's quite the opposite if you grow up in a prairie like I did, where you could see for miles in every direction. Your brain's gonna prefer the distance vision over the up close. So there's all kinds of conditioning that we're under, that we're born into, that we're born with, because genetics are a real thing, instincts are a real thing. We inherit a lot of what has helped keep our genetic line alive and reproducing, for good or not. Something that helped an ancestor survive 500 years ago might be hard-coded into our DNA, but it's not very helpful now. So, these kind of things are what I work on. This is the area that I tend to focus on, the sort of more non-physical things that have a very profound effect on what our physical reality is. You know, our body is just sense perception, how our body looks, how our body smells, how our body sounds. And so, you know, how your body is operating, your level of health and vitality, your energy to work or to work out or to make the right decision in terms of the people who you have in your life, in terms of the food that you eat, you know, all these things, the environments that you prefer, all can be and are being conditioned. So your preference for things might not actually be your preference, and it's probably not. And in working with me, we get to uncover what your preferences actually are, what your design is. I use a lot of human design in my work, which I'll be talking about shortly. Yeah, so that's, you know, that's kind of the long and short of it. I am going to do some work for everyone today, as I do every week. I'll be reading the energy, the background energy, and I'll be providing a little gift for everyone who watches this video. Everyone who watches will get some benefit, and I can promise you that. Last week I was talking about, it was last week or the week before, I don't remember now, just about the heaviness of the background energy. You know, I guess it was last week. You know, I woke up to the Israel-Palestine conflict and 3 earthquakes, and that energy is kind of maintained, and in a certain way we've kind of normalized to it. That's one of the amazing things about being a human, is that we're incredibly adaptable, and we get used to almost anything right away. So the conflict hasn't heated up, but that doesn't mean that it's gone away. And the energy that kind of birthed that conflict is still very much present. I was talking to a client about this last week, and I was talking about it in terms of surfing. You know, like, not that I surf, but there's 2 types of big waves. You know, there's waves that are very high, they're like very, very tall waves, and then there's waves that are very heavy. They're high volume waves. Laird Hamilton set the record. It may have been broken, but he set the record for the heaviest wave ever surfed. And it wasn't very high. It wasn't a high wave at all, but it was very, very heavy. It was a lot of volume of water because of the shape of this particular cove and like the reef and everything. It was very shallow water, and if he fell on this wave, it was going to be really bad, because he was going to be cut up on this reef, and he was going to be pushed under by a tremendous volume of water, maybe longer than he can hold his breath for. Aside from being, you know, cut up on all this reef that was in the shallow water. So yeah, so he rode this high volume wave, and he was fine. But if he messed up, it was going to be bad. And that's kind of the essence of the energy that I feel that we're in. It's a high volume wave. It's not a high wave. You know, there's no peak here that I can really feel. But then there's also not really a trough at the same time. It's short, but it's heavy. It's very dense. And if you mess up, it's not good. And a lot of people are being chewed up by it, and are going to continue to be chewed up by it. You know, there was a hospital got hit in Gaza today. You know, 500 people died. You know, there's the continuing conflict in Ukraine. There's you know, there's a shooter in Belgium. There's, you know, all kinds of things going on. They're all kind of stacking up. And this is the energy that we're going to be in, as far as I can tell, until the new year. So, yeah, you know, and it will be the same. Like, there will be something, there will be some kind of event. It will be catastrophic. And then we'll just kind of keep going on, because that's what we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it will amplify, it will accelerate, and will normalize, and that will pretty much be it for the next few months. So I'm going to do some human design discussion today. I'm going to talk about generators. I might have to do some work first just to make sure that our collective fields are clear and that there's nothing trying to influence us or interfere with my message here tonight. But yeah, I want to talk about generators because when you talk about human design, and for those of you who are watching who are new, I would highly recommend going and getting a free chart right now. You can go to mybodygraph.com. That's one that I use. There's humanarchetypes.com. That's another good one. There's lots of options. Go and get a free chart. See what your type is. See if you're a generator, or projector, or manifestor, or reflector. See what your authority is, and see what your profile is. Because I'm going to talk about profile today. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the 4-6 profile, which is my profile, and there's a lot of people with a 4-6 profile, and it's a very interesting life, and I want to shed some light on that. But I wanted to talk about generators today because a lot of people, when they get into design, there's like the sort of, sexy types like projectors and manifestors, the non-energy types as they're called, and they're rare. Only 9% of the population are manifestors, 20% are projectors, and then 1% are reflectors. They're very rare, and I've only met one in real life. Well, two, one in person, but it's the generator aura that holds this world together. And as a generator, I'm a generator, 66%. Or so, 70%, 66 to 70% are of the global population are generators. It's a tremendous amount of people, and the generator aura, which is very open and very warm and very inviting, it's literally what's holding this world together. Without the generator aura, nothing works because we're here to work. The projectors are not here to work. The manifestors are not here to work. Projectors are here to guide. Manifestors are here to have an impact. Neither of them are here to do work per se. They can and do, but it's the generator that's here to work. And so that means that our field is literally what is making things work in this world. And the benefit, generators are very common, but the benefit of being a generator is that this world is for us, and we get to understand ourselves in it. Generators know themselves. Projectors don't know themselves. They're not here to know themselves because they're here to guide. So they have to understand the other. Projectors understand themselves by their interactions with the other, mostly generators. Manifestors are here to have impact. It's not really about them. It's about who they're impacting. It's about the information that they're bringing. It's about who is around them that can do what they need, because they don't necessarily have the energy for it. This is all very, very, very general. When you're getting into a body graph and you're looking at a human design chart, everyone's got different, there's these things called motors. I won't get into it right now, but mostly everyone has motors. They have energy, but it's the sacral center, the sacral motor. That's what life on this planet is. So I wanted to talk about the sacral center and talk about generators. And I want to do some work for all the generators out there who are probably underappreciated, not actualized, frustrated, and feeling like the world isn't for them. If the generators are making the things work and they're frustrated and they don't feel like the world is for them, then we get a very frustrated world where not a lot works. That's kind of where we're at. A lot works. It works pretty well, as far as it goes, but there's a level of dissatisfaction that can't be ignored or can't be denied. Bitterness, and anger. And when Ra, the human design was channeled essentially through a man who went by the name Ra Uru Hu. His real name was Robert Krakauer. He was Ra before the channeling, but he didn't call it a channeling. He said it was an interaction with a thing he called the voice that lasted for 8 days, I believe. And during that time, he just basically became the receiver of all this information that he had to kind of translate, and it took him the rest of his life. He died in 2011. But when he started working with people, he was really focused on generators, because he knew that if you can wake up the generators, then you change things. The world changes if the generators become self-aware and don't engage from that not-self place. The not-self is basically anything that isn't defined in your body graph. It's an area, for those of you who haven't, go look at your free body graph. You'll have areas that are colored in and areas that are white. The colored in areas are called, these are areas that are called defined. So we have defined centers, defined gates, defined channels. These are consistent aspects of our life, of our existence. The rest of the body graph, the white parts where we're open, this is where we can be in our, what is called not self. And our not self is very mental, and it's very much about, you can be conditioned, right? So, for example, 70% of the population have an open head center. I have an open head. Most people have an open head. When you have an open head center, you're going to think your not self strategy is to think about things that don't matter. So, and there's pressure, right? So there's pressure to figure it out, right? Everyone wants to figure it out. Everyone thinks they have to figure it out. But the fact is that most of us can't and shouldn't, because that's not how we're going to succeed in this life. As a generator, the keynote is about satisfaction. Projectors have success, generators have satisfaction. If you're looking for satisfaction as a generator, it's not going to come through your mind. It's going to come through your sacral authority. Even if you have emotional authority, like I do, I have a defined solar plexus. It's the sacral authority, it's the sacral center with its energy that is going to tell you if what you are doing is correct for you, is energetically correct. Your mind cannot tell you what is energetically correct. It will mess up every time. Our minds are beautiful when they're used properly. I couldn't communicate this to you if I didn't have a mind. There wouldn't be a camera, there wouldn't be lights, there wouldn't be this table. These words wouldn't come out of me. So our minds can do really incredible things, and they do. But when we rely on them to make decisions, when we rely on our mind to decide what our strategy is, to decide what our authority is, or who should have authority over us, for example, right? Our minds are very focused on, authority. Who's the authority? Who do we listen to? Is it the parents? Is it the teachers? Is it the doctors? Is it the science? Anthony Fauci. This is the problem, right? Our minds can be convinced of a lot of things. Things sound very good to our mind, and then our mind overrules what our body is wanting and needing, and what our body is wanting and needing in terms of being a generator, for example, is satisfaction. A lot of generators are working jobs they don't like. They're working jobs that don't give them meaning, don't fulfill their purpose. So they're frustrated. But, we have to work, right? We have to make the money. If I don't work this, this is all the mental chatter. If I don't work this job and make this money, how am I going to pay for my house? And who's going to, my kids need medical care, so if I don't work this job and get the insurance, then, they're going to get sick. This is, again, what our mind does. Our mind projects into the future based on our past. It's not about our present. Only our body is present. And that's because our mind is perceiving things after they've already happened. You know, our conscious awareness is rendered about half a second after the actual interaction has taken place. So by the time our mind becomes aware of something, it's already passed, but our body is interacting with it in real time, in the moment that we're actually connecting with that other, through our field, through our energy, you know? So, okay, so I'm going to do a bit of work focused on generators, focused on the generators that are part of this broadcast, the generators who are watching right now, the generators who are going to be watching in the future. And just before I do that, I just want to make sure everybody knows that if you want me to take a look at your body graph in real time right now, just drop your birth info. I need your date and time. Time needs to be accurate, and location. So anyone watching who wants me to do a quick once over on their body graph, please drop your birth info into the chat. Also, if anyone's wanting me to work on something for them, if there's something that is really a priority for you, you know, whether it's your health or your finances or your career or relationships, whatever, again, you know, if you want to just say that you want something, you know, something shifted about this, I don't need a lot of detail. Just like give me something and I will do it for you. John, can we turn the chat on this screen?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Okay, so let's see what the sort of general sense of things is right now. I'm gonna take a quick sip. Yerba mate, you guys. Yerba mate, really good. Highly caffeinated. Okay, so I'm just going to do a bit of work first before I get into what the generator is. I just need to clear the field, do a bit of work around this thing about satisfaction, and what that actually, like what that is and what that means. Because just like all the, you know, satisfaction, which is the keynote for the generator, success, which is the keynote for the projector, peace, which is the keynote for the manifester. Surprise is the keynote for the reflector, but again, they're a different sort. All these things have been defined for us. You know, what is it to be satisfied, right? What is it to feel successful? You know, these are mostly other people's interpretations of things that we are feeling or should be feeling. When a generator doesn't feel satisfaction, they feel frustration. So frustration is actually a really important feeling, because it's letting us know that we're not living our authentic life. We're not being true to ourselves. We're not respecting our own authority. When I talk about authority, I'm talking about how we make decisions, what we say yes to, what we say no to. Okay, Echo Forest, I see you. I will take a look at your chart. Thank you very much. So for all the generators out there who are watching, what I'm going to do is just, it's a very, very broad thing. I'm not going to get into too much kind of, you know, focused personal stuff, but just bringing awareness that you all need to take a moment and look at what your definition of satisfaction is. And how do you think, what does your mind tell you you need to do in order to achieve that state? Because the thing is, that is your natural state. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is be authentic, you know, and you will be satisfied. You will feel that satisfaction. The only time you won't feel that, right, is when you're feeling frustrated. And I mean, there's other things like, this isn't an emotional state per se. And maybe that's a good place to start. It's like separating the emotional state from a state of satisfaction. You know, I can only feel satisfied if I'm happy. I can't feel satisfied if I'm sad or angry, you know. But that's not the truth. The truth is that if that emotional state is correct for you and you have the energy for it and you have emotional authority and you're thinking hard about something, or you're being given an option that you need to make a decision on, then all the emotional states that you are having are completely correct, and that's half of the population. So what I'm going to just do for you all here, anyone watching now or in the future, is separate the emotional state from the state of satisfaction, which is your keynote as a generator. And just a bit more on that. I mean, you know, a lot of people have the experience as children of their parents being judgmental about their emotional state. And, you know, as a child, you might be, you know, having a difficult time with something, or it's just, you know, even just basic like teething. You know, your body's growing, you're tired, you're cranky, your teeth are falling out. You're not in a good spot. And maybe your parents are not emotionally available, like a lot of ours weren't. And so then you get shown very clearly that if you're not in a good mood, if you're not like easy to be around, that you're not going to get the satisfaction of connection. You're not going to get the satisfaction of love. You're not going to get the satisfaction of being seen, you know, of being given what you need. You know, still as adults, you know, we get cranky, you know, when we're hungry. Like we need something. We know we need something. We might not know what it is, and that's where being with a projector is super valuable. My wife happens to be one, so I have that dialed in. But you know, projectors are really good at knowing what it is you need. So if you have a projector around you, that's a good person to ask. Like, hey, you know, I'm in a really weird place. What do you think? You know, am I just hungry? You know, sometimes it is just that. It's just like you just need some calories. You know, get some ice cream. But yeah, this is a part of it. You know, the big part of it, a big part of the separation of the emotional state from the natural state, right? Because your emotions are constantly shifting and changing. Your chemistry is constantly shifting and changing. But that feeling of satisfaction can maintain and should maintain, right? Unless you're doing something that you shouldn't, that you don't have the energy for, or you're not in the mood for. But we all got conditioned as children to be a certain way, you know, to be respectful of other people and where they're at and what they might need from us, never mind what we need from them. So we're just clearing all that conditioning out and just creating the space where that satisfaction can coexist with whatever emotional state or chemical state. The like mechanics of being in these bodies, you know, they're complicated. Okay, good. All right, John, can you bring up the sacral center image?
The bottom part.
The bottom one, yes, please. Thank you. So this is the bottom part of my body graph. I wanted to bring focus to it rather than put the whole thing up. But as you can see, I have a lot of definition in my sacral center. The sacral center is in the center. It's the red square. And so I have a lot of sacral energy, and you know, the sacral center. I really want to highlight this for those generators out there, so that they can know like what it is that they're here for. If you go to the left, which way? To the right, I guess. There's the 34 and the 57. The 34th gate to the 57th gate, for example. This is called the I'm blanking on it right now. Channel of power. The channel of power is, so the 34th gate is basically, it's like anything that the 34th gate touches, it powers up. So the channel of power is the 34 to the 57. The 57 is the gate of intuitive clarity. Intuition, when it comes to the spleen, it's about survival. So the channel of power is about survival. I will always have the energy to navigate a dangerous situation, and I have. I haven't done anything incredibly dangerous. I haven't been in a war zone or anything, but yeah, I've always, there's been things that have happened in my life that I didn't know, why I responded the way that I did, but now that I have design, I understand it's the channel of power. This is the channel, people, and even if you don't have this defined, I mean, all this is like available to you. It's just, for me, this is, consistent. There are people who talk about what they would do if someone attacked their family. For a lot of people, it's not going to be what they do. It's not their fault. It's just they haven't been trained. We all default to our training. There's actually a really cool video that I was watching. This guy was breaking down like knife fights, and he's he trains people in like hand-to-hand combat and all that. And he was saying, like, he was showing how there was this man on a playground going after children, and the parents froze mostly. They never mind fighting back. They couldn't grab their child and run because they never been trained to do that. So they just defaulted to what their training was, which was to be helpless, to freeze, to do something kind of spazzy at best. Having the channel of power gives you, for those of you who have it, that is not going to be how you are going to respond to that kind of situation. You are going to be on top of it. With training or without training. When there is a crisis, you are going to be fine. And anyone who you are caring for is going to be fine. You are going to make sure of that. And now, the other side of that is that you can, if you misperceive something as an attack, you will take someone's head off who does not deserve it. And that will most likely be someone who's an intimate partner, you get into a fight with your spouse, you get into a fight with your best friend, you get into whatever, it will go from 0 to 100 real quick, and that's just something that you have to learn about yourselves. If you go up to the 5, the 14, and the 29, which is that top row of the sacral center, these are the they're called the tantra gates. They're not necessarily about sexuality. It's just more about how you move energy and your capability of like connecting, connecting with another, and kind of transmuting that into something, or synthesizing it into something. So in my case, I have those 3 gates, but I have nothing on the G center above it. So I'm always looking for, like unconsciously, always looking for someone with those opposing gates, because then I can really cook something up with them. The 59-6, which is on the other side, and that connects to the emotional center. That's the channel of mating, and it's about fertility. It's about reproduction. Birthing something. Again, there's sexual connotations, but it's just about having the energy, to start new things. More to seed it in other people's minds. So people with the channel of mating, they might not have a lot of kids, they might not have a lot of projects, and all this, but if you're around them and you don't have that channel, you will feel like turned on, sexually, but but also just, idea-wise. It's a fertile energy, and it's not inspirational. That's more the head center, which again I don't have. But yeah, that's kind of when we're talking about the sacral, we're really talking about material. The connection to the spleen is about caring for people, right? The connection to the emotional center is about fertility. And then the rest of the gates are about real material concerns, really about resources and money and this kind of stuff. Next week I will do a bit of work on money. I was going to do it today, but other things kind of took priority. So that's just a very basic. I don't have any of the gates activated between the sacral and the root, which is underneath. But these are called format gates, and they're basically about starting and finishing. So the root gives the pressure to start something, and then those gates on the other side are about finishing it. Which I don't have. So I'm not here to start or finish. I'm just, I'm here to do different things. Okay. All right. So John, can you put that other image up?
Yep.
And then I'll look at Echo's body graph. So I wanted to talk about profile a little bit. Your profile. So in human design, you have if you look at the columns on either side. So I have, for example, in that top black square, it says 49.4. So my sun is in the 49th gate, fourth, and the 4 is the fourth line, because it's all going according to the I Ching, which I'm not going to explain if you don't know, but I would highly recommend checking it out. The I Ching is it's an ancient Chinese text, 64 six-line, what they're called hexagrams, right? 6-line pattern of broken and solid lines, and you throw coins and you ask a question, and then you get your answer based on which hexagram the coins take you to. So my sun is activating the 49th hexagram, 49th gate, and specifically the fourth line of that pattern. And the sun and the earth, my earth is in the fourth gate, fourth line. Go over to the red side, the design side. Sun is in the 43rd gate, sixth line, and the earth is in the 23rd gate, sixth line. So the lines give you the profile. And my profile is a 4-6 profile. I want to talk about the 4-6 because it's a really interesting one, and also quite common. A lot of people have a 4-6 profile. With human design, so there's an astrological period of your life that's referred to as the Saturn return phase, and it's basically your late 20s into your early 30s, like 29 to 32 or so, because Saturn takes about 3 years to move through a sign. So the sign that Saturn was in when you were born, when it returns to that sign, you're in your Saturn return. In human design, all the 6 lines in the body graph are 3s. They're all third lines for the first 30 years of your life, wherever those 6 lines are. So in my case, I have 2 6 lines in my design, my Sun Earth. I have a lot of 6 lines actually, but up until I was 30 or so, they were all 3s. The third line is all about being social. It's all about participating in things. It's about being part of something, starting things, being curious, being active, all that. The 6th line is the exact opposite. The 6th line is the role model. The 6th line is, I'll do me and you'll do you, and we won't really interfere with each other, and everything will be fine. And the 6th line, it's very inspirational. It's an inspirational line. So when you have a 6, for those of you who have a 6th line in your profile, so that could be a 4-6 profile, that can be a 3-6 profile, it could be a 6-3, or it could be a 6-2. That 6 in your profile was a 3 for the first 30 years. So you would have been very social for the first 30 years of your life, and then around 30, things would have started to slow down for you. Having a 6th line in your profile means that you have a 3-part life. The first 30 years, 30 to 50, and then 50 you have your Chiron return, and so from 50 to further till your death, basically you're living a different kind of life than the 2 periods before. Being a 4-6 profile, my experience of it, I'm about halfway. So they say it takes about 7 years to, once you start living according to your design, takes about 6 years, or pardon me, 7 years, which is a quarter of a Saturn cycle. It takes about 7 years to completely decondition, to completely like lose all the pressures, all the mental stuff that's gone into you living your life as your not self, abdicating your own inner authority for the external authority and all that. I'm about halfway through that process, so I have a bit of insight about what might be on the other side of it. There's a lot of people who have been living this way for 20, 30 years at this point, so you can go listen to them as well. Marianne Winiger, she's a good source, especially for generators. She really speaks for generators because she is a generator. The 4 of the profile it's called the opportunist. So when you're a 4-6, you're an opportunist role model. That's what that's called. And for the first 30 years, being an opportunist, but with a 3 instead of a 6, you're probably going to run into a lot of people and hang out with a lot of people and do a lot of things that, upon reflection, are not that good for you. But that's because that's how the 3 learns. The 3 learns by making mistakes. So for the first 30 years of your life as a 4-6 profile, the 4 is the opportunist. All the opportunities come through the people. These are both called transpersonal numbers. It's a transpersonal profile, meaning that it's really about like what other people are kind of bringing you. 5 1s, 6 2s. These are also and 6 3s. These are all transpersonal profiles, and it's really about like the other. With the 4, it's about the opportunities that people bring you. So for the first 30 years of your life as a 4-6, the opportunities would have been to get into things that are probably not that great for you. Not to say you didn't have fun, not to say that, it didn't seem like the right thing at that time, but after 30, when you start moving into your 6-line phase, you'll see, oh yeah, that was all kind of a waste. That was like a waste in a certain way. And it was, but how else are you supposed to learn? Because as your 6th line starts to take priority, you will cease to be a social being. There's no draw for me there anymore. I used to go to concerts. I used to go to live music, like all the time. It was a big part of my early life, festivals, all that stuff, raves. I'm older, so there's that too, but I don't, that there's nothing there for me now. There's no pull. There isn't even really the opportunity. I don't get invited to these things. And that's the thing about being a generator and being a 4-6 profile. You really need to wait for the invitation. The invitation, that's more projector speak, but it's like people will bring stuff to you if you wait, and then you can say yes or no. Like, is it something that you want? Do you have the energy for it? Are you in the mood for it? You say yes or no based on that. But when I was younger, there was constant opportunity to get involved in something. I was an activist, I was very politically active. I was environmentally active, all these things. I was part of so many movements. Now I'm not, and I feel great about it, But I got the experience. I got the experience of living a certain way and all the mistakes that came along with that. And now I don't live that way, but I can kind of make sense of why I had to go through that. And as I move into my later years, as I approach 50, I mean, I'm 43, I won't be 50 for another 7 years. But, it's all gonna click. It already is. It's already clicked, my understanding of why I had to go through these things. And they were hard. It wasn't all fun. Like, yeah, it's fun to party, but there's physical consequences. It's fun to experiment with, diet. Like I was a vegan, because I was an environmental activist, animal rights, whatever. Got a thyroid condition, that kind of stuff. Got super skinny, super skinny. All things that I've had to kind of work on correcting, but that's also taken me through lots of different dietary strategies and supplements and treatment. Like I've learned so much because of the mistakes that I've made. And that's the brilliance of a 4-6 profile. You get to learn from your errors, and your later life will be, we're all late bloomers, 4-6s, right? Anyone with a 6 line in their profile is gonna, like, your life's gonna start after 50. So, keep that in mind. Don't break your body. You're gonna need it, because the last third of your life is where, like, the most activity is gonna be happening. Okay, I'm gonna take a little moment here and just get this body graph up. If you'll all just bear with me.
Right?
Yeah. All right, well, that's cool. So Echo, you're a 6-2 profile, so you probably have some awareness of what I'm talking about, but it's different. A 4-6 and a 6-2 are definitely not the same. But here, I'll get this up on the screen for you in just a moment. Get some caffeine in me. All right. So, okay, so Echo, you're a manifesting generator, and you're a true manifesting generator. So, so you've got the 2034 as your personality, Sun, Earth. So you're probably very busy, very, very busy. You like to do a lot of things. And you like to do them fast. Left angle cross duality. Yeah. On the other side, you got the 3740 and both second lines. So your tribe, your tribe would be very important. Finding people to do a lot with would be kind of your jam. But also, you would be very focused on making sure it's fair, right? Making sure that it's a good bargain, right? The 3740 is all about the bargain, and that's one of the major themes of the time that we are in is that 3740 and the cross of planning, which I've spoken to before. Okay, awesome, thank you. And you have the same variables that I do, the left, left, right, right. So the top arrows and the bottom arrows are moving in opposite directions. So you have a very strategic and focused mind, but your life doesn't allow for you to be strategic or focused in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting body, and yeah, but focused. Very focused, right? The 952, the 3740. A lot of focus on details. Well, you're an emotional being, Making sure that you're in the mood for things is always, always, always important. Completely open G center. So, the question of, am I in the right place? Am I with the right person? Am I working the right job? That will always kind of be a part of your thing. With the open G center, you always, you won't really know if you're in the right spot until you're there. And with the open G, for anyone who has the open G center, I have an open G center. Before you move into a house, go there, walk around, see how you feel. If you walk into a cafe, you walk into a restaurant, you're supposed to meet someone there. If you're not vibing it, get out, take them with you. The thing about the G center is that location is very important. And I was actually listening to Ra, the human design receiver, and he was saying, things don't happen, how did he put it? It was so perfect. It's like there isn't a time for things, it's a place for things. There isn't like a time where you die, there's like a place. It's like all about location. And with the open G center, location is very, very important, very important. Because if you're in the wrong place, you will be around the wrong people. You won't find the people that you need to connect to for whatever reason if you're in the wrong place. So, you're meeting a dear friend, one of your oldest friends, right? You're going to a new bar, you're going to a new restaurant, you're going camping. You're going to go to a place you both have wanted to check out for a long time, whatever it is. And you get there and you don't feel good about it, they're not going to be good for you. Even though you've known them for 20 years. You're not going to get what you need from them. Just because the location is wrong. Having an open G center means that you're very sensitive to the energetics of the location. Open spleen, so holding on to things longer than they're good for you, possibly. You got the 50, so you're a nurturing soul when your spleen gets activated. So again, when you're around the right people, you can be quite nurturing. You got the 28, so taking risks, again, when you have that splenic energy activated, you might feel like changing things up, trying something new. Open ajna, so, you're not here to be certain, and open head, so, you'll think about things that don't matter. A lot of emotional definition. So it's all about mood for you. If you're in the right mood, you can do it. If you're not in the right mood, it's not only bad for you, but bad for everyone else. Everyone who you're doing it with will be on the receiving end of that energy. So really important for you to wait and just make sure that that is right for you, and that you're in the right place, you're around the right people, and that you have the right mood. So that would be my quick once over. Okay. All right. I think. Let's see if there's a final message I can pull out for you all. All right. I don't talk about this all that much, but. I don't know, why not? We are in an ascension process. Thank you. And my role in this lifetime is to be a facilitator for this ascension. It's not humans that are ascending, it's the earth. The earth is shifting her vibration. The earth is woken up. She was dormant for a long time, a very long time. I don't know how long, but thousands of years. She was not awake, and she's woken up, and her frequency is picking up. She is putting a lot of demands on us, and there are going to be people who are not going to be able to match the frequency, to find harmony, to find resonance with the earth as she goes through her movements and her changes, as she wakes up. I've been told by a Vedic astrologer that the main thrust of this process is that the Earth is no longer going to be the home base for the three-dimensional experience, and that people who still need, which is the vast majority, people who still need that physical experience are going to need to have it elsewhere. And so, we are already seeing a steep decline in birth rates. In other words, the souls or the spirit of the individuals are no longer incarnating on this planet. They're going somewhere else. And I've seen this in my work. There's somewhere else that people are going. They're not coming here. Some are still, obviously, but a lot aren't. And a lot of people are going to be choosing to exit because the frequency, it will just be, they'll be in discord. They won't be able to be in harmony. And it's not a failure on their part. It's just not what they're here for. They're here to have the human experience. They're here to be in a physical form, and they're here to be dense. And the Earth is no longer the place for that. So, like what I was saying at the beginning, there's a lot of people who are going to be chewed up by it, and they already are, and things are going to be like this for a while, maybe the rest of our lives. I don't really know how long it's going to be, but we're in a very transformative and unique period in this planet's lifespan, in this planet's history. And probably anyone who's watching this, they already know and they're already working on it. But just focus on that. Focus on you, focus on living correctly, focus on using your energy correctly, focus on that sacral center for all you generators out there. If someone comes to you and they want you to do something and you immediately feel tired, don't do it. Don't push through that tired. That tired is letting you know that your body doesn't want to do it, doesn't have the energy, it's not correct, it's not going to go well. It might work, but it's not going to go well long term. So, and just, I don't know, it's a wild time. I would say enjoy the ride, but I don't think that's appropriate. It's not about enjoying it. It's about participating and doing what you're here for. Your life has meaning, your life has purpose. Find out what those are and do it to the greatest degree possible. And if you want my help in that, I am available. DanielGilfix.com if you want to book a session. Okay, I think that's good. Thank you all again, and we'll see you next week.